One of the core characteristics of masculinity is risk-taking. Without taking risks, you're not going to succeed. The problem with risk-taking is that you're going to fail. It's inevitable. Failures are driven by mistakes. And the degree of your failure is directly related to the misjudgment that you made going in. So the frequency of mistakes and the intensity of mistakes will judge to the degree what kind of failure you have. So being a man means making a lot of mistakes. And God knows I've made more than my share. But there's one kind of mistake that seems universal. And it's very sneaky because it appears over and over and over again in our lives. And we men are particularly susceptible to it because it disguises itself as another characteristic of masculinity. And this mistake, if you can fix it, will not only reduce the number of failures, but those failures that you do have will be a lot less intense. And you'll save time, money, pain. It'll just change your entire life. So let's talk about it. This is Life 2.0. As I've said in other videos, we all basically live our lives from a subjective standpoint. We're all kind of living in our own little bubble of reality, if you will. However, there are times when that subjective bubble comes directly into contact with the harsh reality of an objective reality that you have no control over. This is when you start to learn about the sunken cost fallacy. Yes, this is the mistake that we make over and over and over again. It's one that will cause you to lose more resources, money, time, whatever you can think of, faster than just about anything else. You see, what's sneaky about the sunken cost fallacy is that there's an aspect of this that fits neatly into a masculine framework. Because the idea that you never quit is kind of the whole basis of the sunken cost fallacy. We believe that a man won't take a defeat, you know? We're not going to take the L on this one. No, we're going to push right through. We're going to find a way to make it work. We're going to pull together our resources and double down. Well, if you are a betting man, you may have run directly into this. This is what Las Vegas bets on. This is what all those betting apps, you know, for sports betting apps are betting on. It's this male psychology of, I'm not willing to take a loss on this one, you know? I've got a system. I know what's right. I can figure this out. I will make this happen for me. And so we lose money on the first bet, you know? And we think, screw that, that's a fluke. It's a fluke. I can make this work. I'm gonna double down on the next one. And then you lose that one. You go, shit, now I'm out of money. Now I'm in the hole. Well, let me get out my credit card and see what Visa has available. Well, triple down, I'll make it all back and some, and I'll just break even and get out. I'm gonna just get out. Yeah, next thing you know, your house mortgage is being sent to the betting company, you know? So the idea that we have control and power over these situations is the fallacy. We believe that we're in some kind of control, that by being a risk taker and by being persistent and not quitting and not giving up, that there's some value in that, like that's some kind of a positive characteristic. It's an attribute that we want to associate ourselves with. And unfortunately, that's not always true. I mean, sure, there are times when you want to double down. There are times when you want to not give up. There are times when you want to put forth more effort. And then there are times when you want to get the fuck out. And knowing the difference is the critical element to saving yourself enormous amounts of pain, time, resources, the whole 9 yards, versus losing your house. Now in relationships, it's a bit more complex. because that sunken cost fallacy runs directly into the scarcity mentality. Oh, this is when things get really, really bad. So you got yourself a girl, like she's going on a date with you. Now your objective, like most men's, whether you admit it or not, is to sleep with her. That's the whole plan. Now you're gonna probably let it slide on the first date. You're gonna build relationship, build rapport, see how things go, right? So then the second date rolls around and you're gonna start intensifying things a bit. And maybe your plan is to get there by number 3 or 4. You're thinking by the 3rd or 4th date, we're gonna codify this deal. Well, by date 6, and you're still getting strung along, you gotta make a decision. Like, maybe it's just not worth it. Like, maybe she's just playing you. Maybe this isn't gonna happen, you know? Too oftentimes what happens there is that scarcity mentality and the sunken cost fallacy gang up on you, and next thing you know, you're standing at the altar with some girl that you really don't like, who is just playing games with you, who's holding out, you know? She's telling you, no premarital, no, 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 no. You're gonna have to pay for this one, baby. If you want this, you're gonna have to pay big for it. You're not even sure if you like her. And here you are, you're marrying her. Yeah, this happens. I know it sounds silly, and I maybe am making it a little bit extreme, but this is how it happens. Happens a lot. Then, now you're in the marriage. Now you're in it. Yeah. So now you finally, achieved your goal. You paid 10 times, 100 times more than you should have. But you got it. You got the goal. You won the prize. But now you're in a marriage. And now the games begin. The fact that you never really liked her that much to begin with, and she probably didn't like you that much either, is starting to come to pass, you know? You're starting to come face to face with that objective reality. But you've already invested so much time and energy into this thing, you know? It seems a shame just to quit. I mean, now you're married. My God, you've had the wedding, you've gone on the honeymoon, your family was all there. I mean, you've invested so much already. Debu, let's go this way. So, what are you gonna do? Well, of course, you're not gonna take an L here. No way. You're in it to win it, man. You are in it to win it. So you hang in there. Yes. Now in the beginning, it's all good. Next thing you know, you got a bunch of kids. You're like, hey, this isn't so bad, you know? It's not exactly what I had in mind, but what the hell, you know? Things could be a lot worse, right? It could be worse. Scarcity mentality, playing its game on you. At least I've got somebody, you know? At least I'm not alone. At least I'm not out there on the dating scene trying to figure myself out, right? Yeah, 7, 8, 9, 10 years later, you're well invested in this thing now. Now she hates your guts, okay? Now she's not sleeping with you anymore. You're back to date 1. You're not getting anything. The kids don't even really like you that much. You're working your ass off around the clock, 60, 70, maybe 80 hours a week, just trying to make ends meet. There is no end to this nightmare. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. But you've invested so much time and energy, man. How can you just bail on it? Yeah, she may be borderline personality disorder. There's definitely some signs of narcissism there. She's truly cruel and mean to you. And you're thinking that maybe it's not good for the kids to be around her either. But you know, quitting at this point would just seem like a loss. You know, it would just seem like I'm just wimping out. I'm not being the man that I need to be. I need to hang in there, give it my best. I know this sounds ridiculous, and I get it. This is the story of so many men. The deeper they get, the harder they push, you know? That's not a good metaphor. But you know what I mean. They just keep going. They just keep on going. Like they keep doubling down over and over and over again, thinking that by putting forth more effort on a losing cause that they're somehow going to recoup whatever their past losses were. And it rarely, if ever, works out like that. So for those of you guys who don't know, I am in Northern Virginia, which is just about a half hour outside of DC. So a lot of the guys I know work for those, diabolical three-letter organizations that, torment the world. And one of these guys is my client, and he's been my client off and on for like 5 years or so. He's a real good guy. When I met him, he was going through the process of getting the security clearance he needed for his job. And it took a ton of time. This was a tough security clearance to get. It probably took him like, I don't know, a year and a half to get it done. But he knew that if he got this job, it was going to be the best solution for him. This was like 5 years ago. Well, fast forward 5 years, and he hates it. It sucks more than anything he could have possibly imagined. It is the worst job. He hates every minute of it. He doesn't sleep at night. He's stressed out all the time. He hates his coworkers. He hates his boss. He hates everything about it. It's a terrible job. It pays well, but it sucks aside from that. I told him when he first started telling me about how much he hated it, that he just needed to find something else. Like there was an opportunity for him to move on. And he just thinks he's gonna hang in there, He's gonna see if it gets better, see if he can change things, see if he can make a difference. Yeah, it's still bad. It still keeps getting worse and worse and worse. He is, although a really nice guy, his life is so twisted up in knots, and he's wasted his valuable resource, his most valuable resource, on this endeavor that is doomed to only get worse. Do you know what I mean? Like it's only going to get worse. The writing is on the wall. It is just going to get worse. And he's wasted years of his life pursuing it, achieving it, and realizing that it was bad. Knowing when to cut your losses is the critical element here. Knowing what the characteristics are of a situation that you need to take the L and walk away versus one you need to double down on. This is the most important skill you can learn as a man. And it's hard to know. It really is. I've known lots and lots of guys, including myself, who should have taken an L and we didn't. Like in my marriage, I should have taken the L after about 10 years rather than hanging in there for 21. It cost me 11 additional years of my life. There will be no refund on those 11 years at the end. I can't go back with a receipt and say, hey, I made a mistake. Can I get a refund on these 11 years? No, those 11 years are gone. My friend, he's not gonna get any of this time back either, And I can tell what it's doing to his health is probably gonna actually cause him to lose more years on the back end, because he's so stressed out. He's not sleeping. He looks like shit. I've seen his strength actually go down. For a guy who's lifting on a regular basis, you expect at least some incremental increases in strength. And he'll get on an upward, stroke for a while where he'll start to see some increases, and then the stress will just go through the roof and his strength collapses, his sleep collapses, his eating collapses, he adds weight, and we're back to square one. So he's paying me a lot of money to help him get into shape, so he's wasting that money. He's wasting his time at a job that will never be satisfying for him. It's taking away his physical health, you know what I mean? Like it's draining another valuable resource, not just his time, which is your most valuable resources, but then your health, which is obviously has a direct impact on the amount of time that you have. So how do you know when to cut your losses? How do you know when it's better to walk away than it is just to hang in there and to double down and to be persistent and to never give up? How do you know the difference? Here it is, in a plain and simple. Who has the most control of this situation? If you've got the most control of this situation, then you double down. If you don't have the majority of the control of any particular situation that is going sideways, then you need to let go. Then you have to take the L. There's no point in betting on someone else or some outside situation or hoping that something works out in the long run, because it generally doesn't. If you don't have a lot of direct impact over how this thing works out in the end, then you just need to walk away lick your wounds, find a new direction, and move on. The more you double down, the worse things are going to get. So I've got another client who's a really good guy. This is a coaching client from the channel, and his marriage has been bad for a really long time. It's been a really, really long time. He doesn't sleep in the same bed, doesn't even sleep in the same room, doesn't even sleep on the same floor. He sleeps in the basement, she sleeps upstairs. His marriage has been over for a decade, probably. In fact, it was probably over soon after they met. I don't know if you guys can hear how windy it is. It's crazy windy. It's not a matter of if he gets a divorce, it's a matter of when and who pulls the trigger. He knows this already. Like, he already knows that this is his destiny. Like, this is an L. He's already given up on it. But he physically hasn't taken any action to do anything about it. He is continuing to live in this purgatory, this unmarriage, this painful, negative experience that is never going to get any better. And he knows it. I think she knows it. I think their kids know it. No one thinks this is a good idea, yet it persists. Because everyone involved is caught into the habit of just things remaining the way they are. Changing seems more difficult than remaining in a shitty situation. And that is another huge mistake that we men make. We think that the devil we know is better than the devil we don't. And that is rarely the case. Because the devil you know will kill you for sure. The devil you don't may not be there at all. That might just be a figment of your imagination. It may just be fear playing tricks on your mind. So be aware of that as well. So the two characteristics that you need to watch for is who has the most control in this situation. You know, because if you've got the most control, maybe you should persist. But if you don't have the most control over how this thing comes out, if you don't have the greatest input, then probably you need to walk away when things start going sideways. And then the second one is be ready to leave, and don't be afraid of the change associated with leaving, no matter what that situation is. Just because you've got a going to disrupt your life, or you're going to disrupt the status quo, don't hang in there and suffer in order to maintain that status quo. That is the dumbest logic you can come up with. There is no reason to endure the pain of a bad situation just because you're afraid of what the alternative is. Chances are the alternative is going to be better. Anyway, you guys, I want to tell you this because I came across a number of people who recently who are caught in these situations where they are not making the decisions, not getting out of bad situations. And it's so easy to get stuck behind that sunken cost fallacy, that idea that I've already invested so much time and energy into this thing, there's so much money into this thing, whatever it may be, I can't just let all that go. And that is a false investment. You really have not invested that much. You've wasted time, energy, and money. You haven't invested it. Because an investment is a resource that you're going to get a return on. And if you keep throwing resources down a hole and they keep disappearing, or you're not getting any signs of a return, at some point you've got to just say enough is enough, and you've got to walk away. And the sooner you identify this and you say enough is enough, the better. The longer you stay, the worse it gets, because the longer you stay, the more the investment and the more the logic works against you. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. I certainly hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please like and subscribe. If you know someone who's in a situation where they're doubling down over and over and over again, and they've got this sunken cost fallacy working against them, please share this video with them. Hopefully it'll shake something loose and maybe they'll make a new decision. Anyway, till next time, stay healthy, and if you can, stay single.